and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ginny Mae. I'm the Intergalactic Supreme Goddess of Guest Service, and if you're new to my channel, then welcome. Today, I would love to talk about 3 hot service tips for February. Number 1 is always acknowledge the guests. I actually went out to eat last week at a place, and it was just a little place and a really amazing food, and that was in Copenhagen here. And when I entered the door, I could kind of see the kitchen on the side, and then I could see that there was only one waiter. And that waiter was down at a table taking an order or having some type of discussion with them, and no one acknowledged me. And I was standing there and waiting because there's a little sign that said, please wait to be seated. So of course I was patient and waited to be seated. The person that was working in the kitchen, maybe the chef or whoever it was, he did look at me, but he didn't acknowledge that he looked at me. He just like glanced over, is like, oh, you're there. And I thought, hey, that would have been a great opportunity for that person just to say, hey, welcome, we'll be right with you. That's all it could have taken. But then I waited, and I saw that the waiter on the other side of the room kind of looked at me for a second, and then I felt that, he had a little stress on. He wanted to start getting done, with the orders of the table that he was at. But that's also risky too, because then maybe you could mess up on that food order somehow. So I waited, and then finally he actually did make eye contact with me. And instead of saying something, it's just like, yeah, like I'll be there in a minute type of signal. And I thought, wow, that is fantastic. I really feel like I'm acknowledged now. This person knows that I'm here. I'm gonna wait patiently. And I actually was like, you know what? I will give him all the time that he needs, because I know when he comes down to me to take my order, then he'll also take that time with me. The only advice I guess I would have is if the first time he looked at me, he gave me the little signal like, oh, I'll be there, just give me a few minutes or a few seconds. Instead of looking at me, we made eye contact, and then he went back into his little job of talking with the other guests. So tip number 1 for February is always acknowledge your guests coming in the door. And also, if you're on the other side of the room or a couple tables away from a table that's trying to make eye contact with you, don't be afraid. Just make eye contact with them and be like, hey, I see you, I'll be right there. You don't have to say that, but you can just give the little kind of signal that you actually acknowledge them. And by doing that, you kind of gain a couple extra seconds or minutes so they can relax, you can finish what you're doing in a proper way, and then you can get down there. And it's a great way to be able to kind of handle more than one job that you have at one time. Let's go on to tip number 2. And tip number 2 is your morning priorities. This one I had the other day because I wanted to buy some flowers for our receptionist in our administration, and because it was her birthday. And it was really early in the morning when I got off the metro, and I kind of walked through this market where they were selling flowers, and it wasn't the only flower shop. There's actually like 2 or 3 just right there in the same square. But I just went to the first one and I saw a bunch of flowers. I thought, oh, those would be so pretty for Matilda. And I picked them up and I said, hey, is it too early to buy flowers? Because I could see that they were unloading their fresh flowers that they got from that day from cards and putting it into their shop. So I could see that they really probably weren't ready. And it was about 9 in the morning, and maybe they didn't open till 9:30 or 10 or something, but I needed the flowers now. So I asked them, hey, is it too early to buy some flowers? And they're like, well, if you want to pay, on your phone, we have a type of Apple Pay. It's called mobile pay here in Copenhagen. And, or you can pay us cash. And I was thinking I really wanted to use this particular credit card I had. And I said, hey, can we use a credit card? And she's like, no, we're not ready for credit card yet. We have to go in the building, into the office, pick up the credit card machine. That's gonna take me about 10 minutes. But if you just look around a little bit, I'll be back in 10 minutes and then you can buy the flowers. And I'm thinking 10 minutes, I need flowers right now. So then I said, all right, that's great. And she left to go get the credit card machine or whatever. And I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna look at the flower little stand over here. And then I found some even more beautiful flowers, and I went up to them and I said, hey, is it too early to buy flowers? And they said, no, we're ready. And I was like, yes. And you know what? They weren't even supposed to open for a half an hour later, but they were ready to take a payment. And I think that is a really good tip for February, that when you get in, first of all, make sure you have your uniform on. Let's say you open at 10 o'clock in the morning and you get in at 9 o'clock. I would make sure at 9 o'clock I had my uniform on. I was able, if I had coffee in the morning, and even if it was a takeaway coffee, or even if it was, stay here type of coffee, and if I had a guest coming in and it was loud because my building, it doesn't matter if they came in at 7 or 9:30 or 9:45, that I could actually sell something small at that time, I would make totally sure that my cash register was ready, my credit card machines were ready, and everything was ready that I could take a payment. And anything that the guest probably would want early in the morning, like a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a sauce or whatever thing you have in your restaurant where people might want that early in the morning, that was ready to go. Because it's all right to make a sale before you actually open, isn't it? Then it's just kind of like a bonus. Now, I know not all restaurants are like that, and some have strict rules that exactly 10 o'clock, that's when we unlock the door and open it. But hey, what's wrong with taking a little control and making a guest happy as they're walking by a little bit earlier in the morning? My number 3 tip this week is quite important, and that is to wash hands. And with washing hands, we all know that we're supposed to wash hands for like 30 seconds. That is the same amount of time to sing happy birthday or twinkle twinkle little star. And you really need to ask yourself, last time I washed my hands, did it actually take 30 seconds? Because when we're busy in the restaurant, 30 seconds is a really long time. I really like, for example, the restaurant where I work at, we have little fingernail brushes. And I think that's fantastic because, things can sit under the fingernails or around the fingernails to get that off. Right now, unfortunately, we have this coronavirus that's going around, and I don't hope that any of us get that. But when we're working in the restaurant, we're working with so many different types of people. People that are traveling and a lot of different people throughout the day. We do not know if they're coming in with that virus or they're coming in with a cold or something else, and then all of a sudden they're eating off the forks, they're drinking out of the glasses, they're touching the plates, and all these things can end up spreading to you. So make sure every time you go back to the pot wash, especially now in this time when this virus is spreading, that you take some time to wash your hands and protect yourself. Of course, we want to protect our guests as well, but if you can't protect yourself, then how are you going to protect your guests? And if you don't protect yourself, you're not going to be able to show up at work. And if you don't show up at work, you're not going to make any money. And you're not going to make any extra tips. And then your colleagues are going to have to work a little bit faster if they couldn't get somebody else in. So make sure to take care of yourself. Also, I always tell my people that I work with, please remember, do not touch your eye, or of course, don't pick your nose, or if you're trying to turn a page in a book or a menu or something like that, don't lick your finger so it's more sticky so you can do that. Really think about, touching these areas with your hands so you don't end up spreading any type of sickness around. Hey, if you really like these tips, I please ask you to just press the subscribe button down below. It really helps the YouTube algorithm so that these videos can get out to other people, hopefully beginner waiters that would like some extra tips and trips. And if you like it, hey, please give me a thumbs up. And I hope that you have an amazing February, and let's go out there and give amazing service. I'm Ginny Mae, the Intergalactic Supreme Goddess of Guest Service, and I thank you so much for watching my video. Please hit the thumbs up because it really helps our channel. And if you'd like more tips and tricks on service and how to up your service game, click here. And press on my face right here to subscribe. And don't forget to ring the little bell icon so you get a notification every time I come out with a new video. Follow me on Instagram, and let's go out and give amazing service.